Hi, this is Jason. Today I'm going to show you how to export your data from volunteer science for analysis. As you can see, I'm in my research team. I've created my experiment, I posted it online, I got my subjects, they all participated, and now I need to get my data out. So go to the experiment where the data lives, and in this case I have some data in this Wildcat Wells game that I'll show you how to get out. Here's the experiment. You go to whatever your experiment is, you go to it, and when we go to this export data section, here you'll be able to see if people are actively taking your study. You'll be able to see them here. People are demoing it. You can see it here. People in the waiting room waiting for your study. You can see it there. Here at the bottom, you can see the section for exporting your data. If you wanted to export your data automatically using R or Python or some other automated tool, we give you an authentication token that you can add to the end of the URL at the top, and you can make an automated request. One thing I'll note is if you wanted to create a copy of all of these study files, this is what this generate zip is about. You can just press download and it'll download all of your study files. Not counting the data, but the game code, essentially. Here are all of the variables for affecting how the output comes out. So if you prefer parsing XML or JSON, you can select XML and JSON. We do have some CSV support, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. If you wanted to escape HTML characters, you could do that. If you are doing Turkers and you want to segregate your Turker data from your volunteer data or other data, you can include or exclude or only use Turkers, however you want to select it. If you want to use the data that you as the researcher generated during demos, or whether playing with yourself on the study, you can include or exclude it. Particularly if you're doing a study in which you are actually involved as a player in the study, helping participants through it, you definitely want to include yourself here. You can also filter by consents, people who've consented. If some people have consented, or all experiments. If you do all, we're not running this filter on our database, so it's a lot faster to do all experiments and then filter out later. Here's where you can select other things to export. So if you want the variables that you use for the experiment, you can select this box. If you want the achievements that people earned and the scores that they earned, you can also click the check boxes. If you want to include demonstration data, you can. You'll know that something is a demo because it'll say instead of fun here, it'll say demo, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. And then there's a way for you to upload a parser that will change the data and make it more easier for you to visualize, which is what this thing does. I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's what that's about. There's this I very rarely use, but if you're trying to distinguish between who clicked what when, you can use that. Now here are the two most important things, the show last and the start end dates. Now this is how you select how much of your data to pull. We allow you to see your results here. That's what these links are. It's the actual data that you would be downloading. You can change this number here to 10, and it'll update, and it'll show you the last 10. I don't know if there are actually 10. Oh, there are 10. Okay, good. So there are 10 people who did the study on Fund, on the Fund page. That's what the Fund means. Is actually the URL where this was taken, or the section that it was taken. So this corresponds to, this study was taken on a tile that was hosted on the web page experiments/fun, or volunteerscience.com/experiments/fun. You can also affect the number of studies that you see by changing the amount of the filtering date. And so once you have these set up the way that you want, you can either click the export or look at them individually. If you want to look at your data, this is how I prefer to do it. I'll just show you. If you click JSON, it'll actually change the format here on the fly. So it'll give you a big JSON block. If you do CSV, you'll be able to see the CSV data. So this is what happens for this is Wildcat Wells. This is what the Wildcat Wells data looks like in a CSV format. You see the game number, the subject ID, the round number, and then the x-axis where they drilled, the y-axis where they drilled, and then the amount of oil they found. You see the same thing for participant 2 in round 1, and then participant 3, round 10. Apparently this went 15 rounds, apparently. But what you don't get with CSV is the metadata. So you don't get the variables, and you don't get the game data. So let me just show you what that looks like in here. XML. Yeah, so there's test ID, the date that it was taken, the tag for what kind of code it was. Apparently there's an error here, so that's not the greatest example. Same error there. Oh, I'm getting parse errors. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, but so in general, there's some metadata that you'll miss. I wonder if the JSON will show it. There we go. There must be something crazy with some of the variable names causing XML to break. But here you go. So game ID is 440565. Here's the date. Here you see, most importantly, you see subject data. So this is subject 1. This is their user ID, which is different for every study. Whether they consented. Last ping tells you the last time they communicate with a volunteer science, so basically when they closed the study, which is helpful for knowing how long somebody played for, or whether they waited for the end of the waiting room. So this is the locale. Other subject data, I'm not going to go too much into it. But that's the data that you miss when you don't have CSV. All right. So you can scroll through your data here. This is a good way for checking like how much data you have and how much of it is useful. Once you're ready to download it, you can click this export button. It'll open up a new tab with volunteerscience.com/data, the study number, and then all of these parameters that you use to select the data that you want. And if you're doing this through Python or R, you would add in an ampersand API key equals, and then that API key that will be generated. But this is the JSON data. It's a huge JSON block. It's really ugly to read. I should have used XML. It's a little easier to read. Let's see. I'll just show you the CSV version of it, actually. I got export. There we go. Now this looks a lot cleaner. You see round 0, there's a bunch of metadata for the particular, for study 120032. That's why you have lines that are occasionally different, but then you have all of the user data here. So CSV is a little bit easier to read, but again, you miss some metadata. All right. I should note, all you need to do is click right click, and then save as. This is a CSV file, so you can call it, test.csv, and save it to wherever you want to on your computer. I'm going to use my desktop. Save. Here's my test CSV. I'll try to open it. It looks ugly as a CSV, so I'm going to try to open it. Enter an Excel file. And it's tab delimited, not comma delimited. There we go. So a little cleaning there, but you can open it up in your Excel file. Cool. All right, and that's how you get your data out of volunteer science.